Good morning and welcome back to you. We're glad you're watching Morning Express. Our final discussion before we close the show today, and we want to take it to our campuses, university, and I'm joined this morning by three ladies. We're all about immorality in campus, but also leadership and what kind of people we're producing from campus. We want to get an indication of that as well. And joining me is Mickey Ocheng, who's chair lady, outgoing chairperson of the Women Students Welfare Association, which is also called WASWA. Yes. If you like. Purity Wangoe is in the middle. She's the incoming WASWA chair. We also have Nzilani Muya, Director of Youth Programs at Mothers and Daughters Leadership Institute for Young Ladies. Wow, that is a long title. Thank you all for being with us today. And a lot of, in terms of morals that are in the young ladies and women that are coming out from campus came to the fore when we started seeing this page on Campus Divas. When that happened for you, was it a surprise? Because then it painted a picture, and we had even some politicians sort of like talk about, you know, the ladies from campus sort of like double up as prostitutes sometimes. What did you have to say about that?
I know for a fact that there are a small percentage of people who get involved in things that are destructive while they're on campus.
Sure.
And it's not a true representation of all the students, especially the female students of the University of Nairobi. What I'd like to say is these girls, there are several of them who are very vulnerable and come to campus very disadvantaged, without role models, people to look up to for guidance and stuff like that. So when they come to campus and there's a lot of change, culture shock, just lifestyle as a whole from the village into the big cities, I think they tend to get involved in things that may be what now we can see happening. Campus divas and
Purity, and it's a lot of peer pressure. It's a lot of, you're seeing several people doing it, they also get into it, and then it becomes a huge cycle that's ongoing.
Yeah, sure. Mostly the whole transition, especially from first year, there's when it comes to making choices, it becomes difficult. So most people involve themselves with crowds and they follow the crowds, and that's when now the peer influence come in. So the people who follow crowds and at it all, they end up becoming influenced in the whole campus diva. Yes.
Nzilani, you were in the leadership before, and unfortunately that is what people will talk about. That is what people will see of the women and the ladies in campus. What was your experience when you were there?
I think being in campus, there's a whole versatility to like about a lot of situations young women go through, and I feel that like this particular situation was a juicy story that I think got out of hand, and I feel that there is more to campus and there is more things women do in campus, positive influence other women have in campus to like the whole nation, but they really don't get a lot of media attention about. So I feel that there is a lot of issues, but sometimes we try to dwell more on the non-issues or the juicy stories.
So what are the good stuff? What is the good that we are seeing going on in our campus that is producing better Kenyans, if I may put it that way, or citizens of the world?
WASWA, the Women Students Welfare Association of the University of Nairobi, does a lot in terms of mentoring girls and trying to just encourage them to get into leadership positions through mentorship programs with people like If Sisters, Mothers and Daughters. We have programs on reproductive health that we ensure that we incorporate all the other students from the other universities and even other tertiary colleges. We have a program called Beyond Books from the University of Nairobi. This is to try and encourage students who come to campus with little or who come from unwell-off families, so that they can do something beyond the academia, so that they can start prepping for their life beyond academia, beyond school. So we focus on girls who are into entrepreneurial skills. So we take them for those sessions and trainings. We have girls who have talents, different talents. So we try to encourage that and just point them to the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Purity, there's a saying that goes, women, their worst enemies.
Yeah.
Do you believe in that?
No, it's just a stereotype.
Okay.
Yeah, like for example, let me take an example of myself. Getting into the office, I was a secretary general, and she's the one who mentored me. She's the one who mentored me when she was a chair then. And before I vied for chair, she also mentored me. So in campus, I see a lot of sisterhood. I see a lot of people helping each other. I see a lot of people being there for each other. So that is a myth for me.
It's a myth. But for many of these girls, when you look at the likes of the socialites coming up, pretty much around the same age, what becomes very attractive at that age, you want to have your own money, you want to drive a car, and all these other things. What can be done to entrench hard work, to entrench independence in these ladies as they're coming out of campus, so that they're not looking for those quick successes, you know, because that's what Campus Divas is all about, the money, so that I can have this flashy life.
I feel women in campus are vulnerable because some of them come from disadvantaged backgrounds, and there has to be a certain guiding principle for them, and that is why we started the Mothers and Daughters Leadership Training for Young Women, where because a lot of young girls in campus are exploited by people like pretty ladies who maybe would suit a model's profile, are taken out by promoters. They're painted, they stand the whole night selling shots, and they earn like 500 shillings a night. These girls are exploited, but they need the extra back. So what we do is try to train them in entrepreneurship, how to perhaps bargain and negotiate certain income, how to be on their own. We train them on spiritual development, social media etiquette, and how to handle social media, so that we avoid like half nude selfies, so that girls are able to have this moral principle just to guide them in everything they do. And the issue about young women being their own worst enemies, I feel, is sometimes it is misused, because when dudes are competing, it's competition. But when girls are like stepping on each other to get on top, we say it's women's being their own, women being their own enemy. So I think it's just competition that sometimes we try to profile it, well, in a negative way, but it's just basically women competing against each other, same way men do.
Miki, do we have enough examples in society for these women to aspire to live right, to, you know, have that moral uprightness, work hard, be independent, by their own selves and make it to the top? Do we have enough examples, or is it we have more of the ones that are in the negative light, and so we're like, yes, that's the way to go?
I think there are enough examples to go by, but I feel the media sometimes love the negative stories. Like she said, they are juicy, so it sells, which is unfair. There's, like, for example, when they talked about that girl, the campus diva, that is a young girl who was used, because that story was not true. So she was used. There are people who do very good things in and out of campus who we can look up to. So when you always bring the people who have the immoral anecdotes to them, I think is unfair and is very misleading. So it's important for us to highlight also on women, those few women in grassroots and in campus everywhere who do exceptional things to be good role models to the girls in campus as they transition, like way from high school, as they transition into campus. Because let's say, for example, a girl who's in the rural area, who's in primary, let's say, for example, her role model is maybe a girl who got knocked up with a teacher or by the head teacher. So for them, that is a real role model. But if we take leadership and we take training to the grassroots and from like the really lower level, I feel it will give them the bigger picture as they come into campus so that they can be able to avoid getting into trouble. Yes.
And Purity, affirmative action, and I'll also put the same to you, has come in to help the women. But why is it still that there are all these measures that have come in, but we don't see as many women putting themselves out there, whether it's in politics, you know, more of the nominations are the ones we see being put aside for the women. And even when you look at the numbers in terms of our population, we have more women, so you'd expect that would rally behind each other. Why is it, in your opinion, we have that disparity?
I think when it comes to leadership, women a bit hold back. Yes, they hold back to go for the position. So I'd advise more empowerment on these women, because I know we have it. We really do have it. We empower the women to go for the positions and ensure they are there safely. And also the issue of the men, you know. Like for me, for example, when I was vying, there's a lot of gunship, you know. So when it's intimidating when you're vying for a position and it's a leadership woman position, and a man is interacting, is disrupting the whole election process. So I think we hold back from going to from vying for a position because of those issues. Yes.
All right. Your thoughts?
I feel that affirmative action, the Klaus just came in with this is like the first time we have implemented it, and I feel that we are on the right track.
Okay.
So perhaps not as many women came in for leadership positions, but I feel that the ones who are in there they have served as role models to other women. So coming election, I'm sure we're gonna have like a lot of women coming up. Plus, I feel that the leadership institutions around the country have also been doing like a great job mentoring young women to get into politics. So I'm sure like coming the next election, it's gonna get better.
It's gonna get better. Let's go back to campus life and sexual immorality, and in the classroom especially, when it comes to exams and getting good grades. Is that still a prevalent thing in most universities where girls will, not want to read too hard but want those good grades?
Personally, I've never experienced that, or I've never known someone I've never had someone who's gone through that.
Okay.
But I know there's an attraction sometimes between students and lecturers. I've just never had someone who comes out and say that maybe he wanted a favor for marks or for other stuff. I've never had that, so I really don't know. Maybe you've had.
You're in campus now. Yes. Have you heard about it? Because it's also, in the workplace as well. It's pretty much everywhere, but in campus, it's said to thrive in some areas.
When I got into first year, there was the rumors like, if you want good grades, you have to meet this teacher, you have to do this to, all that kind of stuff. Third year, I've not yet seen. That is honestly speaking, I've not yet seen or heard someone say, by the way, I think the lecturer is my friend, I can befriend him. But there's still the rumors where they're like,
But it does happen. I guess of course, you're not in the mood, you know, and I think they also go announcing that, hey,
I think when you like a student leader, and there's that fear, like hands off. People don't want to mess because they know your rights, they take you seriously. So they don't just mess around with you, and they don't mess around maybe people around you. We've had scenarios of teachers lecturers going out with students, but they don't just go there with student leaders.
Okay. And there are those girls who you hear stories of them pretty much being put in very tight positions by their lecturers. You do this or I will actually get you to fail. In those kind of situations, is there a form in this leadership, even with the Institute for Young Ladies, trying to reach out so that people can feel and have a safe place to come and confide and also perhaps get help?
I feel that the reasons why perhaps we haven't heard is because those victims are also scared. They do not know how to handle it, because sometimes you can go and tell someone, and then you can be victimized, not necessarily by that particular lecturer, but his associates. So what we try to do is still, get women speak out, also to follow up and try to, perhaps we still haven't put down solid mechanisms to try and protect the ladies, but we are at it, having identified the problem and knowing the importance of trying to follow up and try to make sure the girl is not victimized. Though it's a kind of a tight, it's still a tight situation.
A tight situation. Finally, from each of you very quickly, for the Women Students Welfare Association, is it all students across all universities? And also, what is the message for you for the students, the girls and the women in campus?
WASWA is for the University of Nairobi, but we try as much as possible to incorporate all the other universities and tertiary colleges when we are having these programs. That way, it's not just for a few select, like from the University of Nairobi. And for me, I feel like WASWA is a mouthpiece for all the students out there. When you have any issue that maybe you do not know how to deal with, or you do not know the right place or the right channel to deal with it, then we are there. We are there to be able to show you and direct you and guide you accordingly.
All right.
Yes.
Finally?
Yes. Also in WASWA, we have the mentorship. We equip the girls and empower them. So we'd ask the mothers, you know, more ladies who are prominent and out there who've made it to come back to society and reach out to our girls, because it's part of the process. Yes.
All right. Finally,
young ladies need to embrace mentors, need to have people they look up to, so that as role models, and that is the only way to like achieve your goals, and having someone to guide you.
And indeed the future can only be bright if we have more of you in our campuses. Thank you very much, ladies.